Today we're going to talk about a Karen, but not an ordinary Karen. This entitled Karen goes beyond what we typically expect from a stereotypical Karen. It goes something like this. A few years ago, in 2020, a woman by the name of Rebecca Grossman was out driving, plastered drunk off her mind, and was driving at speeds of over 75 miles an hour, racing a lover of hers who's some baseball player. She was also just having an affair with that baseball player. Her husband, who's a renowned plastic surgeon in LA, didn't even know about it. Whilst driving like a moron, plastered drunk, and at really high speeds, there was a family crossing the street. The light was red, and they were just calmly going across the crosswalk. Rebecca Grossman hit and killed two young kids, one 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, while they were crossing the street with their parents. The disturbing nature of this is the fact that one of the kids was hit so hard, he flew 250 feet away from the crosswalk and the vehicle itself, while the other was still on the hood of the vehicle before sliding off. And like anybody who's plastered drunk or a rich socialite, and socialite's just a fancy schmancy term for jobless and rich, she drove away from the scene and claimed no responsibility. She was, however, finally pulled over and arrested and then charged with 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter. However, that's not where this story ends. No. This is the pure entire entitlement of this "see you next Tuesday." She tried everything she could for 3 years to get herself out of this situation. She had the audacity to even say that she had suffered enough whilst living free for 3 years on a $2 million bond. Not once did she show a shred of remorse or sympathy for the victims she killed or the victims' families. And she spent these past 3 years trying to shred any ounce of responsibility she ever had off of this case. Because that's what rich, jobless people do. They don't want to claim responsibility for something like that. So they'll do everything they can to make them seem like, I'm a good person. I would never do anything like this. But you gotta let me go free because, well, you need me to create foundations named after the 2 boys such as this because we gotta make people more aware about the dangers of drinking and driving. It's like, just shut the fuck up. Do your time. You deserve it. You took away the lives of 2 kids. And you're making this family suffer even more by dragging this out. Well, finally, just as recently as June 11th this year, she was finally found guilty and sentenced to 15 years to life imprisonment. Which, in my opinion, because of her supposed social status and reputation and how much money she's asked of her husband to pull out of his ass to get her out of this situation, she's probably going to be up for parole in about 5 years. Or she probably won't have the most pleasant time in prison, but it'll definitely not be a hard time. She better hope that the prison she goes to isn't full of a lot of grieving mothers, because she will become a target there. She better serve the whole 15 years and be denied parole, but no amount of time can make up for the lives that she cost from those two boys. But she's not on here just for the crime she committed, albeit how unbelievably heartbreaking and gut-wrenching it is. She's on here as the Queen Karen because of how much effort she put into trying to get out of her sentencing. Showed no remorse for the family, no remorse for the victims that she killed, and wanted to take no responsibility or repercussions for her actions. That's why we're making this video on her. This whole thing that she caused, she made it all about herself and her suffering. She didn't care she killed 2 children, despite being a mother herself. 2 kids who had their whole lives ahead of them. And she didn't want to take responsibility for it. She wanted her rich husband to pay for the damages and constantly tried to cater to sympathy towards herself. Even her spoiled, rotten kids were attacking the mom of the 2 victims, all and questioning them like, why were you crossing the road? Why were you doing that? Well, it was a red light for oncoming traffic and they had to cross the street. What more do you want? But no, it's their fault for wanting to cross the street. Not your mom's fault for blowing a red light at 75 miles an hour and killing 2 people. I guess it's true what they say. The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree with that family. My heart goes out to the parents of the 2 boys and the other 2 kids in that family who lost their 2 older brothers. Nobody should have to go through that. And I hope this Karen rots in prison.
This trial, every day in court here, felt like I'm attending the funeral of the boys again, day after day. That's how it felt. And seeing the defendant and seeing the defense attorneys, it just was that bad.
We have been waiting for a closure. Honestly, we have been waiting for Mrs. Grossman to apologize, to take responsibility, and she just chose to fight to the end, and it was heartbreaking to see the lawyers' lies and conspiracy theories, and I'm amazed and glad that despite all their tricks, he couldn't trick our system or the jury.